Hello, guys. Welcome to Trade Talks Live. We are coming to you day 3 from WET in Indianapolis, Indiana. And this is pretty cool. If you've never been here before, welcome to the show. If you have been here before, thank you for coming back. I don't know why you would do that, but we're kind of glad that you're here. Actually, this has been a lot of fun because we are at probably one of the biggest plumbing conferences in the nation. And to get to be here and be part of it, so many amazing people from around the country show up at this. Great connections, great friends. This has really been fun. And as you see, I have Squirt here with me. Squirt, what do you think about this? Have you had fun?
Man, I've had a blast. Guys, there's so many new things out there and just different things to watch these things, put your hands on them and physically use them. It's a good time. You learn some neat things, some new tricks, some new tools to get you out of those sticky situations. So it's a really great thing to be a part of and actually come and just put your eyes and hands on everything. It's an awesome experience.
And it's really neat because we get to hang out with people from Milwaukee, Rigid, Odie, so many different people, but not just that, influencers from all around the country. And
And out of the country.
and out of the country. That's right. So there's been a lot of people here that we get to see and hang out with, and some of these people we see once a year. So you really do. You build these relationships. It's so much fun to come in here and just hang out with people and do cool things. I want to say hello to Chris over at Construction Cronies is in the house. Good to see you. Chris is all right. And Water Malone says, good morning, Roger. And don't leave out Squirt. How's everybody doing today? So Squirt, remember, this video is sponsored by Leak Pro. If you want to learn more about the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers, go to www.leak-pro.com and check it out. And we literally were talking to a guy about it a while ago. He says, but what good is a tool if you don't get the training? And we're like, no, we completely understand that. So if you're interested in the training, you can also find out more about that at Leak Pro. But if you need to, give Squirt a call, 1-8888-LEAK-PRO, and let him talk to you and see if this can help you grow your bottom line or do anything amazing, because I truthfully think that it can. And we'll talk more about it later. But first of all, we're going to talk about national news. And we're in Indiana, but we're going to talk about hurricanes, earthquakes in Texas. I know Randy pulled up a picture a while ago when we were in the Dominican Republic, and now I'm thinking the ocean and the Republic and Costa Rica, and why hurricanes came in, I don't know. But we're going to talk about earthquakes in Texas. So, Squirt, you've done some research on this, and it's something we're needing to look at because we had like a 5.0 magnitude hurricane recently.
We did, so recent earthquakes in West Texas, they've raised concerns about water disposal methods in oil production. And some of the recent things, guys, we don't get earthquakes in Texas typically. It is so rare. And they have a 5.0 magnitude quake on Valentine's Day, February 14th, and a 4.7 4 days later in Culberson County. But these are linked to the injection of salt water, which is a byproduct of oil extraction. And guys, the Texas Railroad Commission, it's evaluating changes to the water disposal practices to change this and help fix it, because this was not a normal issue before, but it's become one now. And with us being here at the WET Show, it's like, let's talk about our water disposal policies and things that it's actually doing to our Mother Earth. We're tearing it up, guys. And like I was saying, we get one planet. Let's take care of it and do what we need to kind of catch sight of these things.
And here's the thing: is the Railroad Commission is going to come in and they're going to look at how we're implementing these water management systems, and they're going to make changes. They're going to have to, because what happens is this saline water starts getting into our water, and most of these water treatment plants aren't built for desalinization. So it's hard to get that salt water back out. So this is something that's going to be a big deal. But Randy, there's going to be changes, and how literally How is this going to affect the trades? What is this going to have to do with them?
So, like there's a potential here for regulatory changes, and that could seriously affect the disposal of water and the operations. And that's going to emphasize the need for improved water management solutions. And that's something that we talk about a lot of times is how good is your water? Well, now it's not just the water coming in, guys, it's what are we feeding out back to the systems too? And is there any treatment that needs to happen before it actually hits that sewer line or that main that's getting fed back in? Because we all know water keeps getting reused. And that's what happens is it gets filtered and cleaned. So this is going to create a lot of work over time whenever these regulations and things do change because they're going to need new treatment plants and facilities to be able to handle the disposal of all the waters. Uh, I'd say a good way for anybody to kind of look into this, pay attention for the stricter regulations and adopt advanced water treatment technologies and any alternate disposable methods possible. We can't just feed the salt water back in and just think that everything's going to be fine. It's obviously causing problems, and we're going to have to step back and look at where we're messing up and try to come up with a solution to fix these problems and issues so that we don't have earthquakes all over the state. I don't want them in Dallas.
Yeah, and I know that they've said we've had them in Dallas. Luckily, I have never felt an earthquake. And I mean, I've been in California a lot. I've been out in Vegas a lot, and I know they've had them in Texas. Just luckily, it hadn't rocked my world yet, but it could happen. Now, today in website reviews, and I kind of like this one. We're talking about wet. And guys, if you do not go to trade shows, if you don't go to conferences, and I go to conferences in Indianapolis every year. I try to go to AHR wherever it moves to. I go to the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, which is in Vegas this year. It'll be in Orlando next year, which will be great because this time of year, Orlando feels much better than Vegas. Although I did check, we're going to be there next week. It's supposed to get up to 80 degrees next week. So I'm kind of happy about that. But, the cool thing is going to these shows, you meet some amazing people. You get to do some really cool stuff. And the funny thing behind it is that there's new tools, new materials, new equipment, new technology all the time. So I continuously look at what some of the latest and greatest things are out there, but dig into wet. What is unique about their website, or what did you really like about it?
Well, so since we are here at the Wet Show and you've given me hell all week about talking about all these other trades, I said,
I
you know
know.
what? Let's dive deep into the Wet Show and plumbing today, okay? We're going to be talking wastewater. We're going to be talking water. We're going to be talking treatments and transports, guys. I want to cover it all. And that is what the Wet Show is. It's all the new equipment and different things to feed into all these trades and make it very useful. But some of the key features of their stuff, you can access their site for the actual event schedule. You can look at this year's. You can go ahead and start looking at next year's if you're interested in that. And run it into us here because I'm sure we'll be here. But there's also an exhibitor directory. Guys, you can scroll through this thing. You can check out who's new this year, anything new that's came out and about so that you know all the booths to kind of go out and check and see for any of the new products and stuff to help you in your trade. But there's also some registration information, which some guidelines for attending the show, what to expect, including virtual participation options. And like he's showing there, that's the app itself. And guys, we can pull up that map and pinpoint exactly where we are. It's all tied to GPS and stuff. But not too bad. But it's all honestly super valuable because it serves as a central hub for industry updates, innovations, and professional development opportunities. And guys, that's what we promote here more than anything is do your trade, but also be the best at your trade and put as much back into that trade and the younger generation coming up as you possibly can. Because all these new things, man, it's making them a little bit easier. We've actually been networking and introducing people to people this morning because of some new innovations and insights that could really making those connections could lead to some really great things for the trades.
And I love doing that. I tell people all the time, I think I'm a really good connector because when I see a tool, material, equipment, technology, anything that I think, wow, you know what? If y'all were to team up with them and put your stuff together, do y'all know what this would do for y'all? And it really, the possibilities are just phenomenal. So anytime you can make introductions to people, it is like me. I think one of the best products out here is a product called CPI, and we'll talk more about it later. We're going to do some videos with them and do some different things. But one of the cool things is there's always something new. and if you'll keep your eyes open, you look around. We literally just earlier this morning saw a robot that crawls through the sewer, and it's got a laser spinning around where it's measuring. And that way it can, I mean, if you think about this, if you use this as a baseline, as soon as you install a sewer system and you run this thing through, now you've got your baseline set for your entire sewer line or whatever it is. Now you come back every year and you do this again. Now you can see where you're getting buildup, where you're getting, pipe worn out, different things like that. So anyway, I think stuff like that is great. And we get to learn all that because of the wet show. Not a bad place to be.
That's it. I mean, this place, what can people expect? Guys, you're going to get access to cutting edge technologies, expert led sessions. There's a bunch of sessions around here. If you want to learn different parts and things, there's a session that you can go in and sit and learn some training. You can get trained on different things, different parts, business from the business side to the field side, a little bit of all of it. And then invaluable networking opportunities with the industry leaders. Like we were talking about, we talk to a lot of these vendors and manufacturers around here and make those connections and keep on the front end of what's coming out and things like that. And it's always great for networking. And I've learned that more recently as tradespeople. We don't think about it a lot, but guys, networking and meeting people and knowing people that do different things is actually huge, because you never know when you're going to need somebody that has that skill. And then you've got them already because you met them and you can reach out to them. So that's a huge thing to gain from here.
And another cool thing, and we were talking about this a while ago, is, we went up to one booth and said, hey, we need your camera head because we need to go see if it'll work with another tool. And they literally take it off and hand it to you. You're like, yeah, just bring it back. It's a $1,300 camera head, and they're here. Just take it. Well, bring it back. I'm like, well, if I don't, just call somebody at the office and tell them. And they're like, yeah, they've probably heard that story before. It's like, yeah, they probably have. Let's go into business growth. And architectural wastewater treatment is becoming a big deal. And it's a great business. And it's great. You've come up with a lot of stuff here, but the agricultural wastewater treatment market, is projected to grow from 2.81 billion to 3.01 billion in 2025. So, guys, there's a growth there, and I think about this every time I read something like this. There's 1 million unfilled trades jobs right now. If it keeps growing like this, guys, that number is going to keep getting bigger. So every one of us need to be recruiting into the trades. So, Squirt, go ahead and let's talk about this for strategies for growth in the agricultural section.
Honestly, innovative solutions, develop some cost-effective and scalable treatment technologies tailored for agricultural applications. And just like we were talking about the oil industry and them worrying about what to do with all that water, same thing in the agricultural side, guys. You've got to have some stuff on there to keep the bugs off of these plants and things. All that gets washed down and washed off. What do you do with that water? Come up with a solution that's going to work well for you. But also there's going to be a regulatory compliance, and you want to stay abreast on environmental regulations to offer compliant and sustainable solutions too. But guys, if you're on the forefront of this and you are in a large agricultural area, every person out there is going to want you to do their project, and you want to be that go-to guy for things like this. But really, you can do some partnerships, collaborate with agricultural stakeholders to understand their needs, and then you can provide customized services. And guys, anytime that you are getting into custom solutions, There's money to be made because there's a problem that really needs to be addressed. And you can be the guy that comes in there and actually fixes it. Do some study, do some research, and try to figure out a good disposal solution for them and treat that water and make it back to clean. It'll be a good thing.
Collaborating with other people that are already doing stuff like this can always be a good thing too. And you talk about that all the time, but building relationships in people that are with people that are doing things in the area that you want to be in, it literally it can help you do amazing things. So just understand that anytime you want to grow in a certain area, anytime you want to do certain things, look at who you can team up with, look at who you can learn from, look at who you can network with, and how do you build relationships with those people. If you do stuff like that, it can be great for you. It can be great for your business. But learning to do new things, collaboration, networking is just one of the smartest ways to grow in any area of this industry. So, Randy, what opportunities out there for businesses that possibly aren't in the agricultural end or would like to be, or something like that?
Well, it's something that we haven't paid a lot of attention to before. So this is increasing the focus on sustainable agricultural and stringent environmental regulations. And guys, this means it's going to have to be addressed. Okay, they can't just keep doing everything like it's been up and running for the last 100 years. Things are going to have to be put into place, and we're actually going to have to start treating these things. So to get in, that's work right there. Okay, work that hadn't really been addressed before. That creates more work, and we already know that there's a big hole in the trades. But guys, if you get into a specialty like this, where you're that go-to guy, like I was saying, guess what? Everybody in the area is going to want you to come fix their problem and be their solution. And you always want to be your customer's solution in the big grand scheme.
And I'm going to teach you a little trick right there. Something else that you can do is literally start making video about it while you're getting out there and learning it and doing things in it. Post it. And I'm going to go back to a comment we got, I think, the first day here. Guy says, Roger, we did what you said and we started making videos. And a lady came up to my wife at church and says, I know what your husband does. I need a plumber. Can you have him call me? And he said, Roger, that's a call that we never would have got had we not been doing those videos. So I want y'all to think about this. If you're learning something new that not a lot of people are doing, make videos about it and put that information out there, what you're doing, why you do it, what you love about it, different things like that. And that right there can help you grow your business. But stuff like that is just, it's a smart thing to do. It's organic. It's just like, most people that I ask that are on Facebook or another platform like it, I'll ask them, how many of your connections know what you do? And a lot of people are like, nobody. Well, why? Why would you not just let the people that you're connected to on social media know about it? And I mean, Randy's seen the growth that we've had going through this. So guys, we know that it works. If you want to grow your business, it's a great way to do it. Now, for service work, AI for wastewater. What? Where'd you come up with this?
Hey, I'm going to tell you, I came up with it from the internet, but I've seen it here, guys. It's like, I think it's Sewer AI or something like that, to where you send this camera down and it is sitting there popping different things up that you need to be aware of, because it is doing the inspection just like you would, a normal person would, whenever they're going through and they're looking at things. But this is all AI generated, so it's noticing extra bumps, extra things that sometimes we don't notice just to our naked eye. But if there's computer visualizations picking everything apart, it picks up on those extra pixels and can actually look into it pretty good. But artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the maintenance of aging sewer systems by enhancing inspection and management processes. And like I was saying, I've talked about this before. You've got a guy on a camera going and doing inspections. Well, you've got one guy that's been doing it for a year. He's trained. He knows what he's doing. Yes. But then you've got this other guy that's been doing it for 5 years. Well, that guy who's been doing it for 5 years is going to notice a lot more things than that 1 year experienced guy because we learn from repetition. We learn from doing multiple jobs, being in different situations. You can train all those things into AI so that day one, it's going to start pointing all those things out. And then over time, that's going to also help speed up the process of training your technicians to be able to inspect things because it's just going to speed that process up more. And then whenever they start noticing it through that AI, they're going to start noticing a little more just on their own from the negative eye. But it can also, predictive maintenance. AI algorithms analyze data to forecast pipe failures before they occur. Like we were talking about the laser uh, measurer inside of pipe to actually know how much scale's built up and things like that. This is going to let you know when do you need to go in and actually clean the pipes and run a cleaner through there to descale it, things like this. Uh, but also, this could lead to automated inspections where you've got a guy that doesn't know a whole lot. Well, guess what? Robotic systems equipped with AI, and it's going to do it. All you're doing is using a joystick to drive that thing through the pipes, and it's actually giving you all the inspection of the whole system right there in real time. And that's kind of huge. One of my favorite parts, though, is the data management of everything. It's all computer. So it's not, oh, let me make notes of all this stuff that I saw. Let me type all this up, or however you want to do it to pass that on to the customer. This is going to have all your data right there, and you'll be able to print that report out and go, hey, here's what we found. Here's everything. Here's where we need to fix problems and issues like this. So it's kind of huge. But AI is the buzzword of 25 for sure. There's AI coming everywhere. And here's how it is in the drains.
And it's in everything. It's, I mean, you look at it, we talk about it in business, we talk about it running your business, we talk about it looking at your data. It's, AI it's a thought process and a learning process that we all need to be getting on board. And, as plumbers, we need to be looking at how can we use AI in our businesses. And I say plumbers, it's any residential service business, any construction business. If you can have it look at your data, your numbers, everything creates patterns, and you learn how to look at these patterns. If you start having problems over and over again, chances are that there's a reason. So you want to look at it and figure it out and see what you can do. But Randy, how is AI transforming the wastewater infrastructure maintenance? Because that's where I'm seeing it most.
It's enhancing for that proactive approach. Just like we were saying, you can kind of go in every year. Well, you can tell exactly how quickly this pipe's deteriorating. And that's going to instantly let you know, hey, this is what you've got to do. This is when you need to do it to proactively avoid any issues in the future, because we don't like whenever our systems are shut down and unusable, because then comfort in the home goes way downhill. So being able to know ahead of time that, look, we've got to stay on this maintenance schedule. Here's how often your physical home, your family is using your piping. And to get those insights is huge. And I think that's a great way.
Okay, so going into materials, equipment, and tools, membrane filtration. Now, we've seen tons of different filter tops out here and pumps and just a million different things. We literally watched them over here unload this big filter bag where they're grinding stuff up and running it through it, similar to a video that we did. And we know that membrane filters work. How are they being used in the wastewater technology?
Advancements in membrane filtration, it's enhancing the efficiency. And that's the main thing. We talk about efficiencies all the time on here because that's where everything is headed, being more efficient. But there's really some high performance materials. Developments in these membranes would increase permeability, permeability, and fouling resistance. And guys, it's things that we know is the longer we study a different thing, the better that we can make it. And this is just from companies trying time and time again at coming with a better material to be able to do this, treat the water better than the previous materials with less space. And energy efficient systems integration of low energy consumption designs to reduce operational costs. And this is kind of where it comes into fixtures, things like that. But if you've got smaller filters, things like that, that you don't have to change out as often because that membrane actually holds more, things like this could be a major advancement in the future. But then there's a lot of modular configurations also, scalable systems that can be customized for various treatment capacities and applications. And that's something we've kind of talked about is, look, you need this filtered water. Here's what you want. Oh, you want extra filter? Well, then you can add this into that system too and make it this much better for those different parts and pieces. Because one of the things that we know is water's not all the same around the country. Everybody's going to need kind of a custom thing for their area. And that's what's cool about these modular configurations is you can put the pieces that you actually need for the water that physically comes out of your home. And that's huge. Or your business, same thing there. I know our team's kind of happy to get some of the filtration that we've done at our business because we like drinking clean water, and having clean ice is huge.
Yeah, and it's we get asked about that a lot. Somebody asked us about whole house water filtration the other day, and we're like, look, we've both got it on our houses, and talked about chlorine and the adverse effects that has on the human body and different things like that. So looking at that and thinking about why would people not have whole house water filtration systems? So the stuff that we get to look at is pretty cool. But back to the membrane filtration, what impact do these innovations have on the treatment facilities, the water treatment facilities? We know that a lot of them just put a lot of chlorine in it to clean the water and all that. We've got to get water to houses without mold, mildew, and bacteria. But what about the filtration like this?
So honestly, they offer improved treatment performance, a lower energy usage, which is huge. We're always trying to be more efficient with everything that we do. And then flexible solutions that are adaptable to those different operational needs, like we were talking about, to where it's not just one size fits all. And we know that the water is different everywhere. So you need these custom options to be able to slide into different areas to actually get that water to the right level of clean that we want.
No, and we need it clean. And when it comes to water, let's talk about Leak Pro. Today's show is sponsored by Leak Pro. And Leak Pro is the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers. And I studied multiple leak detection systems. I've tried out, I've invested in them, I've invested in the training. So I truthfully think that when I found Leak Pro, I was like, look, this is the best system I've ever had. And we were talking to somebody the other day about leak detection just a couple of days ago, and they're like, Roger, you're right. I had this other brand that has all these switches for different frequencies and all this, and sometimes you just can't hear it all. And I'm like, that's why I like Leak Pro the way it is. It is strictly a plug and play. You plug your headphones into the Sidekick or the Probe. You touch the ground, the valve, whatever it is you're wanting to listen to. You press the trigger and then turn the volume up and down on your headphones. That's the only adjustment there is. And he literally said, look, at this other company that he was talking about their product. He said they came out with a new one that, is just a one-piece thing. You hook it up and it connects to the headphones. He said, but you can't hear in it. He said, it's not near as good. And, look, all I can tell you is we started working with Leak Pro and using Leak Pro because I think it was the best system out there. And if it's something you're interested in, go check it out at www.leak-pro.com. Or, again, from a conversation this morning, if you buy the equipment, you don't get the training, is it really doing you that much good? And, you can say, look, I'm a professional leak detector. Okay. I still think being trained on equipment is going to help you learn everything about that equipment and help you use it better. So if you're interested in the training, you can give Squirt a call at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. And again, I do think Leak Pro is the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers. So check it out. Let's talk about this. MEP, microplastic pollution and wastewater systems. And And I want to go beyond wastewater systems. I want to go to look at the oceans, look at how much plastic we're pulling out of the oceans, look at how much we're pulling out of fish when we catch them. And these plastics that get in your body and they don't go anywhere. So let's talk about what you're coming up with in the wastewater systems. What are they doing to try to help us do things better?
So, the overview here is kind of microplastics pose a significant challenge to wastewater treatment facilities, requiring advanced strategies for effective removal. And just like the ocean side, we've created some special ships with a lot of pumps that pump the water in, filter everything through, and pump it right back out into the ocean just to collect microplastics and the trash from all of those people. Because, I'm from Texas. We don't mess with Texas. Our trash goes somewhere, and it's definitely not in the water. But that's how I was brought up. Not everybody was, guys. And plastics are hard. Like sometimes that plastic bag gets away from you in the wind. And I understand that. You can't always chase it down because there's traffic right there and things like that. So some things do happen, and I understand that. These are things that we've got to be aware of, though. And, for the wastewater systems, this isn't becoming huge, but there's a lot of approaches that we can deal with to do this to help remove this debris from our water, honestly. But you want to upgrade your treatment processes, implementing tertiary, what's that?
Tertiary,
Tertiary treatment methods.
primary, secondary, tertiary.
Tertiary, okay. Such as membrane filtrations, sand filtration, and electrocoagulation to capture the microplastics. I always dealt with metal. It's like a magnet for plastics, but a little different, and it's going to capture inside these membranes and things like this, which is huge. Also, source control measures, encouraging biodegradable alternatives, and we've noticed that with paper straws. I'm not big on them, but
We were
to
drinking
each
that
their
on
own.
last night.
Improving stormwater management, guys, because this is huge. Like I was saying, about the plastic bag. Well, that's going to end up in a storm drain. So something needs to be there in that system to catch plastics and things like that. So we get rid of this debris. And also implementing better regulations for industrial discharges. This is huge. I learned this working in some industrial spaces at how much water goes down the drain. And it's not always perfectly clean water. A lot of these places that I actually worked had on-site water treatment plants to be able to get issues like this and be able to handle that in-house before they ever put dirty water into any of these systems. But a huge thing's research and development, investing in new filtration media and nanotechnology-based filters designed to trap even the smallest microplastic particles. Because, guys, some of these particles you can't see necessarily. It's so small and tiny that you don't just notice it in that water. So that's why they're coming up with a lot of these, little micro filters to be able to pull out the tiniest particles of anything and give you the best water possible.
And if you look at this, mechanical engineers, they design and install filtration systems. The plumbers ensure compliance with wastewater discharge, and electricians integrate automated monitoring systems to help track the pollution levels. So it takes all the trades. It takes each and every one of us doing the things that we're supposed to do and doing it right to make sure that this stuff happens. And it's things that we can get educated on. This is the reason that I became a lead AP. I was working on lead projects, and I'm like, how do I do things that are going to help me learn more about this? I just got tired of just signing paperwork saying, yeah, we're not bringing these materials on the job, but I want to find out why couldn't we bring those materials on the job? So studying to become a lead AP was a big deal to me. And especially when you look at the sustainability, it's all about how to tie it all together, how to build a greener building from the beginning and not just think about it 10 years after it's built and think, gee, could we have built this building to save more water? Yeah, but it probably would have been smarter to do it when we built it. Now, this is interesting. So we're going to talk about where the work is. And this is all about a decentralized water treatment system. Explain the decentralization of a water treatment system, Squirt. the decentralized water system.
Decentralized water treatment systems, such as on-site treatment plants and advanced septic systems, these are seeing a surge in demand for rural and off-grid applications, and it's something that we see a lot here at the Wet Show because I don't see a whole lot of trucks at most plumbing type of shows because this is a wastewater show. There's trucks everywhere. You can see them over there
You got
behind us.
Vacon right there behind you.
Uh,
It's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's huge, and this is becoming a bigger thing to actually do on-site treatments. But a lot of smaller communities, there's newer developments here and remote industrial sites. They're all looking for alternatives to centralized treatment facilities due to the rising infrastructure cost and the sustainability concerns. And this is becoming huge because we know all the populations are growing. We're getting more people on this planet. And guess what? That means the water treatment system in your area may not be good enough anymore to help because of the growth of the population. So that's why it's a lot of good work to find here for centralized and decentralized because being able to treat that water before it even goes into the city portion to hit their treatment center, this is becoming a huge thing now. And, I'm starting to look for regulations that'll be coming, I'm sure, before too long, that you're only going to be able to put certain things in, and that's going to be it. And they're just going to get stricter and stricter over time. Uh, but Roger, why would you say that this really matters to a lot of tradespeople?
Well, it's going to lead to more work for us. If you look at it, plumbers and wastewater specialists. I mean, look, plumbers deal with water and wastewater. We all know that. But I remember being on a plane a while back and talking to a guy from Freeze McNichols, and they built the biggest wastewater treatment centers in the world. So to be able to get to see people like that and talk to them about how they're doing, how they're going, how they're doing things. When we see new tools, materials, and technology for everything that we do here, guys, it's happening everywhere. The wastewater treatment plants are getting bigger and able to do more because of the new modern technology. So the plumbers are needed for installation, maintenance, and compliance, which makes perfect sense. But the MEP contractors together as a whole, the growth in package treatment plants are going to be huge. Rainwater reuse systems. I've got my WSPS in Texas. I think that's going to be a great thing that more plumbers should be looking at. And how do we look at growing that? And then the gray water recycling, and we talk about that a lot too. The municipal and private contractors, the new business opportunities for contractors offering customized solutions to homeowners and businesses. When I helped build the Brant offices, we did rainwater harvesting over there. We use rainwater over there to flush toilets and urinals and things. So anytime you can capture rainwater, treat it, and reuse it, it's going to be great. And in rural areas and developing regions, they're absolutely going to be a good future. And they reduce infrastructure costs, increase the water reuse efficiency, and allow for customized treatment solutions. So the things that are out there that are coming, and guys, these are the kind of shows where you see it at. The treatment of this water and how you do it, it's the future. We've got to start looking at the more and more people we have with the same amount of water. We've got to figure out how to get it through either the evapotranspiration cycle faster, or how do we get it through the water treatment plants, get it cleaner, get it pure, and get it back out faster, and remove things like plastics and chemicals that are harming us. So I think this is something we'll be talking about for a long time, and it's going to just keep getting bigger. Instructor training. And I loved being an instructor. I love teaching plumbers. And it's really interesting because I do think most plumbers, most tradespeople love to learn new things. They're just not always in the right position to do it. They're not given the opportunity. So I think anytime that we can talk about teaching proper wastewater system maintenance to technicians, it is going to help them grow in this industry too. So what have you come up with there, Square?
Honestly, as all the wastewater technology is advancing, guys, proper training and education is crucial. And like I was saying earlier, here at the Wet Show, there is trainings and things like that off to the sides in these classrooms and stuff where you can actually go learn from people the right ways, the proper ways to actually do this and deal with it. But another thing, You really want to ensure that your technicians can install, maintain, and troubleshoot these modern systems. That's the key to all the new technology that's coming, is knowing how it all works, but also how to keep it going in the future and to maintain that system. Training programs now include hands-on experience with real wastewater treatment equipment, online certification courses, and of course,
And your
VR
favorite.
simulations. Because guys, like some of these wastewater treatment plants that I see, it can be a very dangerous place. They don't upkeep them perfect for sure, because so much is going on. So many things are deteriorating in those places. I can remember using. It was the first time I ever saw like fiberglass unistrut and nuts and all thread rod to be able to attach things, and fiberglass pipe clamps. I'm like, wait, what? I've never seen this before. That it's pretty interesting, but because of the treatment plants and systems, the way it deteriorates metals, you use some of these different materials for these applications. So it's some pretty cool things to learn. But some of the key areas to focus in training: new pump technologies, guys. Pumps are getting better and better, smaller and faster. As weird as that sounds, just like computers used to take up the whole room. Pumps are getting smaller and being able to put out a little bit more. So understanding smart pumping systems to adjust the flow rates based on real-time conditions. This is huge, knowing to be able to where the sensors go, where you need them, how far from each pump, things like this, so that it's pulling the right data and things like this. We want you guys trained up on all this. Also, biosolid and sludge management, learning proper techniques for handling, transporting, and treating these byproducts. And like that's one of the systems I was talking about earlier, where I saw all the fiberglass things. It's because of the sludge and stuff that comes out of these facilities. So you've got to have a good treatment plant there, ready to be able to take on what's coming on the drains.
And Spark, we talk about safety all the time, and you've got to look at safety and compliance here, because OSHA requirements, they're changing in everything, including everything we're talking about here about wastewater systems. And I love that because of the VR, because in virtual reality, if you mess up, nobody gets hurt. And you can train that VR or program that VR to where it knows the latest OSHA standards and what's going on. So looking at stuff like that is big. And that's just a part of it, because now you get into that hazardous material handle. And you got to think about this. This is a wastewater treatment. So this is what's coming out of the water that they're getting. And it's hazardous materials. And then the environmental regulations, you got to be careful where you dump this stuff and how you dump it, how you get rid of it. So I'm interested in learning more about all that. So this is one that I'm sure that we'll be talking about more. We'll be talking about it often. But attending trade shows like WET, there is so much education going on here. There are constantly that they've got classrooms here. We walked in one the other day with Dennis the apprentice, and there were probably 150 people in there, and he's talking about running a business and how to run a business and how to build a great training center for your people. So there's a lot of different things involved here, but staying ahead of everything else, you learn to do that at conferences like this. And the more of these you can come to, the more time you can spend at them, it's going to help you grow and help you learn new things.
You can also join industry organizations like the WEF, which is Water Environment Federation, and enroll in manufacturer-led training courses, guys. Come to these shows, meet the manufacturers that do the different parts that you need for your trade. Stay in contact with them specifically, because they're going to be the first ones to know what they're going to release. And if you're in their newsletter, guess what? You'll find out before a show like this, because they don't want to keep it secret for sure. That's why, as a manufacturer, we make more products, is to put the right tools in your hands. So be a part of things like this so that you know what's coming down the pipeline. And, that's a big one that we're always talking about. Stay plugged in, guys. It's huge.
Okay, specialty. We started looking at this a while back. Matter of fact, last year we were shown the vacuum system by Satellite, and Satellite, their porta johnies are phenomenal. We're gonna be talking confessionals here soon. It's a whole new world that you don't want to miss. But the vacuum systems for wastewater collection, and we see some massive trucks out here that are big vacuum trucks. But traditional gravity sewer systems are expensive and require extensive excavation. But vacuum sewer technology is emerging as an alternative that reduces cost and environmental impact. It reduces the cost a lot and the environmental impact because it can be a smaller system. We've got to build sewer lines right now that are gravity fed, so they've got to be big enough to let all these massive amounts of flow come through it and not completely fill the system. Gravity systems or vacuum systems completely different because it doesn't matter if it fills the system, it's sucking it to a central location. And these systems use vacuum pressure instead of gravity fed pipes, allowing for shallower trenching and fewer lift stations. You know, when you look at what our sewer does, when we flush a toilet, it goes to a lift station somewhere, it pumps it up to a higher level that can send it to another gravity feed system that can basically get it all back to the wastewater plant. But Randy, there are some advantages to the vacuum sewer systems that you've got noted here.
Oh, guys, faster installation. What's one of the biggest things that happens whenever you're dealing with gravity fed pipes? You keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you don't have to dig deep, guys, that is going to speed this process up by far. And my favorite part of that is the safety advantage. Because what's the biggest thing when you're dealing with a trench? Cave-ins. Okay, you've got to do all the proper things per OSHA. Well, guys, if we're not digging that deep, guess what? Less cave-ins for sure. So that's a huge thing there. Lower maintenance. No mechanical pumps needed. Vacuum pressure does the work. So all you've got is a vacuum pump. I installed a vacuum system one time and found out all it was a motor and a blower pretty much on the end. And we built some transitions to where it pulled. And that was their vacuum system. But this is ideal for food prone areas. You know, it eliminates infiltration and inflow issues seen in traditional sewer networks. Because if you're sucking all the water up off, everything stays there. So you want to clean that out instead of sending everything down the piping system. So I think this is kind of huge, and we should be able to take some major advantages from this for systems. And the safety side is just huge in my world, in my eyes.
Now, do you think that vacuum systems will ever completely replace the gravity systems?
Well, I mean, I think they're a game changer for certain locations, but gravity systems will still be dominant in areas with natural slopes and existing infrastructure for it already. They're not going to go back in and tear up what's not working just to go to these systems. So it's going to be something that I think we start to see slowly working its way into the future more than anything. So it's not just going to completely go in and replace everywhere. 'Cause if you're on a mountain and the treatment center's at the bottom, you don't need any vacuum system because gravity is going to take care of that for you.
Yeah, there's no point in it at that point. Now, we're at a trade show, and we're going to move over into social media here because, I mean, we've ran into some great people this week. Alan, George, Sean, Mother Flushers. Anybody else that I've missed?
Plumber dude,
Plumber dude, Shay, my man.
the lady plumber,
Marianne.
few. I mean, I've seen some others that I haven't heard of before, but just like me, I see the YouTube on them, and it's like, man, I know they're doing socials, so you know, it's a great thing. And like I was talking to a guy, he said, look, he started plumbing because of Roger here, and he's like, man, look, you know, I honestly just started putting videos up so my family would know what I'm doing because most of them didn't know what plumbing was or what plumbers really do in a day. And he's like, man, I just started kind of putting those videos up for my family to see what I do. But then I started getting comments from other people. Then my church congregation started watching those videos and they're talking to me about it at church. And it's like, man, the growth is there, guys. And then over time, that's just going to grow more and more. So it's really big to use socials to your advantage, and seeing more and more people every year into socials is pretty awesome.
And did you connect with him? I'm trying to remember his name.
He's going to be calling me soon because he's reaching out for League Pro. I told him to send me a message. I gave him my coin and everything, so he's got my site and chips. We'll be in contact soon, I'm sure.
So George the plumber's here. I did not see Omar the plumber this year. Terrence is coming to Dallas. God, pretty soon. He's going to come by the studios. We're going to do some stuff there. Getting to see Alan was great. Getting to see the lady plumber was great, Marianne. There's, and look, Ridge is here, Milwaukee's here, Odie's here. They've all got influencers that they work with and do things with. Plumbing Skater, I think, is here. There's a lot of great people here. But the neat thing about this is social media changes our industry. And, Randy will tell you about people coming up to me and talking to me. And it's neat because you get to hear their stories about what they've done, what we've done that's helped them. And literally, we're at the OD party the other night. And I'm standing there talking to the guy, and he's telling me about how he got started and what he's doing. He looked over and saw a squirt shirt. And he says, and I bought your equipment because Roger said to. And look, I'm not telling you got to buy anything, but I'm telling you about the things that work. And that's why I think that it's amazing that we get to do what we do. The more I walk around here, the more I tell people I am living the most amazing life I could have ever imagined. I get to not just affect my trade, but the people's lives that are in it. And when you can introduce them to new tools, materials, new techniques, new technology, whatever it is, when you can introduce them to stuff like that, it's a big deal. And I'm not the only one doing it. There are some great social media people out here doing things. And I've mentioned Alan a couple of times. We're talking to Alan about something he does, and I'm like, dude, make a video about that. Here's how you make it. Here's what the thumbnail should look like. Here's what the title should be. And Randy said, no, I'd change the title. I'd make it this. I'm like, I'll make that even better. So, we constantly look at not just what we're doing, but how can we help other people do this? And it's neat to see plumber dude here, Shay. Shay used to work with me. And he moved back out to California and started doing his own YouTube. And he's doing fantastic. So when you look at what people are doing, the things they're saying, how they're growing, it's phenomenal to see this. And I know it's HVAC, but who cares?
I was going to say, one of the things I'm noticing here, this show compared to the last shows I've been to, is more of the manufacturers are out there filming their own socials, promoting their business. Like we're always talking on here, guys, promote your business, promote what you do, promote you. That's what socials are for. And I'm seeing it for more and more booths where they're actually walking around and filming what's going on. And it's a huge thing, guys. It is the future, and it's where we're all headed. If you're not on socials and you do work on a normal basis, start posting about it, man. Just let people know what you do. And the key to it all, stay true to who you are. Be you on camera just like you are off the camera. And that'll take you a long way.
And the good thing is we all specialize in something, or we have something we think we do better than most people. And what I'll tell you is that by talking about that, by making videos about that, look, I think that I know more about slab leaks and leak detection than most plumbers out there. I've been doing it for quite a while now. I've studied a lot of different equipment. I've been through a lot of different training. And when you get out and you see it, and you see the way other people do it, or you see what they're trying to do. I mean, I've had some people say that they can do leak detection with a camera. No, you can't. That camera cannot go through every inch of pipe there. It can't tell the difference between a crack and a mark on a line or anything like that. You may get it right part of the time, but when I remember going and doing a job that we had done for a real estate agent. We told them that there was a leak under the house. And the other plumber said, no, there's not. And it was his plumber, the seller's plumber. And he had already done some work on it and supposedly made repairs. So I told the real estate agent that hired me, I said, look, we'll go back and do it again. But I want the other plumber there and I want him to pay me if there's a leak. So they called him and talked to him and said, okay, this is what the guy agreed to, because I had to change my report for the buyer to buy. So I went over there and we started setting up a test and filled it up. The plumber pulled up and you could tell he's a shade tree plumber. He had a leak detection supposedly company, but he wasn't doing things right. He came over and started throwing a fuss. He says, I want to test this myself. It's like, okay, we've already got the test ball in. We're filling it up. And we filled it up and it wouldn't stay full. So he wanted to take the test off and put it on again. So we did. And I mean, it's easy to show him, hey, we got a two-way clean out. There's no water on this side. The test ball is holding. And when you filled it up with water, it just kept going down. So finally, after a little while, I said, look, how did you test this? He said, with a camera. And I'm like, well, a camera doesn't work. And you could tell he was pissed. He said, a camera works just fine. I said, really? Because you couldn't see a leak. And I've just proven to you that this leaks. He said, look, I've been doing this for years. And I said, well, how many other people have you screwed over? And he really did get pissed. But I mean, it's true. Guys, a camera cannot see any and every leak because it cannot go in every inch of pipe there. So if you're not doing it the right way, it's going to roll me over into the sponsored segment. But if you're not doing it the right way, learn to do the right way. And part of the training for Leak Pro is we teach people how to isolate and find leaks on the sewer line. And we teach them on cast iron and we teach them on PVC because working in them is different. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to www.leak-pro.com. I think that we are putting out the best and most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers. Go to www.leak-pro.com to check that out. And if you're interested in the training, and it's not just training on how to find water leaks, it's not just training on how to find sewer leaks, it's how to isolate them, how to pinpoint them, how to know right where they are, and how to locate those water lines underground. And you do that, you learn how to do it right. And while you're there, we'll also teach you some tips and tricks about marketing and how to grow your company. So this is something that we're so proud of the fact that Leak Pro sponsors this for us. And if you want to learn more about it, it's a great place to go do it. But if you want to give Squirt a call, learn more about the training, call 1-8888-LEAK PRO and talk to Squirt. Did I leave out anything on that, Squirt?
No, you didn't. That's one thing I like to say is don't just invest in new tools, guys. Invest in some new knowledge and new skill sets because it's not just about having the tools. You really want to know that skill and know the proper way to use them to do accurate leak detection. And that's what we teach at our facility. But I notice we still have a couple minutes here, and I want to ask you, what's some of the favorite things that you found this week out here at the Wet Show?
I always go back to CPI, and it's not a new thing, but it's neat seeing the laser inspections on the camera. It's neat looking at the new products the coats got, the grabbers. There's always something new out here. And if you don't come to these shows, that's exactly what you're missing out on, is the new things that are here. And it's not just the relationships. It's not just the people. It's building relationships with the manufacturers. I talked earlier about being able to go over to Milwaukee and just say, hey, I need a camera head. And they literally unscrew it and give it to you and say, yeah, just bring it back. There's not a lot of vendors that'll just hand you a $1,300 tool and say, here, go ahead. But they know that, look, we've built relationships with them. We love Milwaukee. We love what they're all about. So doing things like that is phenomenal. But knowing that you can walk over and say, hey, can I borrow this? And they're like, absolutely, go for it. And then you go over to CPI and you're like, hey, can I take this over here and see if it'll work over here? Yeah, let me open up this kit. Let me take it out of here. You go over and do it. But you get to talk to these people and help introduce them to each other and help them build relationships. So I do. I love what we get to do. I love the fact that we get to come. Seeing these pumps, these hydro excavators, and all that. It's just, look, guys, the world is growing and changing, and we're in position where we can be part of it. So if you're not coming to these trade shows, you need to be. Remember, we're at WET. Randy, what's WET? Wastewater, water, wastewater,
Water,
equipment,
treatment,
treatment,
and
and
transport.
there we go. I was good. So anyway, guys, look, this is what we come here for. It's the people we get to meet, the fans we get to get out and shake hands with and go out and have a drink with. But to get to see everything that we do in this industry is phenomenal. If you like this video, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up. If you really like it, share it with somebody. And after you hit the subscribe button, make sure you ring the bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And I appreciate y'all being here. We will be back live tomorrow from the Outhouse in Wiley, Texas. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll see y'all back here tomorrow. Get out there and hit it effing hard. Bye.